everybody. Welcome to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And this is your favorite gentleman, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Today we have a dynamic speaker, Ms. Diania Merriam. She's the founder of the EconoMe Conference. This conference is major. It's an event centered around financial independence, also known as the TED Talks of the FIRE movement. She's also the host of a popular podcast, Optimal Finance Daily, where she narrates articles from the best personal finance blogs on the planet. This woman spent her time, she was just like you and me, who suffered and struggled and fought her way through debt, getting out of $30,000 of debt in 11 months. She used her newfound financial freedom to negotiate a remote working arrangement with her employer, and now, today, on the show, she saves 60% of her income and is on track to be financially independent by year 40. Help me welcome to the stage the incredible, the amazing Diania Merriam.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Marcus.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Ma'am, you are powerful.
Well, thank you. You told me that before. I did a little hair flip. You're really good at hyping me up.
Have to. Your resume said it all. One more round of applause, y'all. Wow. Diving right in, Miss Merriam. I have to ask, successful people have successful habits. They do something day in, day out, every single day. It could be meditation, it could be yoga, it could be their favorite cup of tea or coffee. What is one successful habit that has led to your success and is something you do every day that just lets you know this is how I'm going to start my day? This is going to be a good day. What's that successful habit that you have?
I'm pretty attached to a morning routine. I think when you start off the morning with getting your mindset right, doing some reading, doing some journaling, some meditation, I've really prioritized my self-care as the first thing I do every day. And it just really sets the tone for the rest of the day.
It's true. There you have it, y'all. That's the secret. Prioritize your day. So is there like a set time or a set day or a set block of time where you're like, listen, phone's on vibrate, do not disturb. This is my time, where you're setting up your calendar for the rest of the day? Well, how do you structure your day?
So I like to do bullet journaling. I think the practice of like having to rewrite things over and over, like if you don't get something done, you have to move it to the next month and rewrite it. It really forces you to look at each thing on your to-do list and say, if I haven't gotten around to this over the last month, am I actually going to do it? Is this one of those like things I'm adding to my list as busy work? Is this really a priority? So I do that kind of setting up my month bullet journal style. And then at the end of every day, I really just try to pick like, what are the 3 highest priority things that I want to tackle for the next day? And I need to do those first. I actually have signed up for this. I've been doing this for close to a year. It's this service called Go Done. And it's actually virtual co-working. So you sign up with virtual coworkers who are doing like, they're working on different things. Like they're not associated with what you're working on, but you're essentially committed to an hour and a half or 2 hours where you're going to focus on one thing that you designate during that time. So you sign on, you say, for the next 25 minutes, I'm going to get to inbox 0. I'm going to get through these emails. And then at the end of that 25 minutes, you report back to your team on like how you did. So I really like it because it's like accountability in real time. And I like to start my day with that so that I'm like getting those 3 things off of my list, the first thing of the day. And then it just makes the rest of the day go a lot smoother.
That's the cheat. There you have it, y'all. Go done.
Yeah.
Accountability partners. We hear about that all the time, right? Having someone to hold you accountable. So I love that. I love how you integrated technology into keeping you on track. And not that you were off track, but having someone to affirm, great job, or just a pat on the back and just say, hey, that's not what you said. You said all these emails and you left one in there. There's still one in the inbox.
I mean, accountability partners are awesome, but a lot of times you're checking in once a week. Like I kind of need someone to like sit there with me while I do the thing that I don't want to do. It's like accountability in real time.
That's true. That's true. And that makes sense. Sometimes we need that. I need that. I needed that when I went to school. I realized like everything went virtual and they were like, well, you're virtual, so you make your own schedule. That's not what I need. I,
Yeah.
I need someone to sit down and say, homework's due today. Where is it? Marcus, what are you doing? Why are you shuffling papers? Right. So
Absolutely.
everyone's different. Everybody learns differently. So powerful, powerful. So I touched on this, Miss Merriam, but can you give us some more insight? What's your money story? You fought back and you pushed back through 30K of debt?
Yes. So essentially, I was 28. I was living in New York City. I was 30 grand in debt. And honestly, up until this point in my life, like I was completely financially illiterate. I was not paying attention. I was spending with abandon, mindless consumption, just swiping that card, right? And I think I had this attitude in my 20s that, oh, I'm going to figure this out when I'm making my millions one day, right? And good for me that I like had confidence in my earning potential. Fantastic. However, it's a terrible financial strategy to say, I will deal with this later when I'm making more money, right? You don't know what life's going to throw at you. And so I ran a credit report on myself. And I would recommend this to anyone because even though I knew I had debt, I never looked at my debt collectively. And so I ran my credit report and I realized that between credit card debt and student loans, I was 30 grand in debt collectively. And, at this point, I had been climbing the corporate ladder. I felt like I was doing so well in my career, but I had very little to show for it, right? I basically had a negative net worth. And so I decided that I wanted to get out of this debt as quickly as possible. And I stumbled upon the FIRE movement, which stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. And essentially what the FIRE movement is it's just a lifestyle movement of people pursuing financial freedom. And the way I got introduced to it was through this blog called Mr. Money Mustache, which sounds really silly, but he's actually one of the most popular bloggers in the FIRE space, right? And the way that he talked about money, I like to describe it like this refreshing punch in the face. I had never heard anyone talk about money this way. And most of my reading about money thus far, it had this tone of like struggle to it, right? Like it's going to be so hard to reduce your spending and to get out of debt and to increase your income, right? It just had this tone, this pessimistic tone to it, like personal finance is so hard. Whereas with the FIRE movement and Mr. Money Mustache, the message I got was like just so much optimism that actually I'm so privileged and I am wasting my privilege through this mindless consumption, and that I'm actually not as disadvantaged as I thought I was. And this paycheck to paycheck living was a choice because I was living beyond my means. And it just really reoriented my attitudes about money. I used to think, again, that I was going to figure it out when I was making more money, right? I thought the solution was more money. Reading this blog helped me realize that it was actually more about money management than it was about my income because I was being so wasteful. The other thing was it created this sense of urgency because I realized that money management is really built on behaviors and habits. And so if you can't manage $1,000, you're not going to be able to manage $1 million either. It's about mindset, habits, orientation, right? And so I recognized that even if I was making my millions later, I needed to learn how to manage that money now. And so I did a complete 180. I really reduced my expenses. And I got out of that 30 grand of debt in 11 months. And then from there, I started saving about 60% of my income. And that changed everything for me. Like it really just opened up a world of opportunity and options that I didn't know that I had. So I would say that the FIRE movement like completely changed my life.
Did y'all hear that? 60% of her income. Dave Ramsey, that's someone I used to follow, well, I still follow, and who she talked about, Mr. Money Mustache. His concepts at the time when he first got started were so taboo that he literally that's how the fire movement began. Is it was so strange. People didn't think, well, like she said, like I said, like I the same conversations Miss Miriam was having is the same conversations a lot of Americans and average people have every single day. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, it's something I'll figure out. And it's built off of our experiences or the lack of our experiences with money. And
I think it's also about our ideas of what wealth even is, right? A lot of us, when we think of what it would mean to be wealthy, we're imagining material possessions. We're imagining the big house, the fancy car, the 2.5 kids, right? We have been conditioned since birth to be consumers. But when you think about actual wealth is buying assets. Actual wealth is money in the bank. I look at wealth now as complete autonomy over my time. It's not a fancy car. It's not a big house. A lot of those people that have those things, they're drowning in debt, even though it looks really pretty on the outside. So I think I had to like really change my mindset about reorient myself from consumerism, mindless consumerism, to actual wealth accumulation. That's a big shift, because we have, all the advertisers and marketers out there are convincing us that we need to buy a lot of stuff. And I think it takes a lot of energy on your own, right? Like energy on your own to push against that and say, actually, I'm going to test those assumptions about, consumerism.
Did I not tell you guys? Did I not tell you this woman is powerful? I'm still stuck on the 2.5 kids. Like the last kid is like a midget. Like we got half a child or something. So I'm still stuck on that. We have one quick commercial break, y'all. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Stay with us. See you guys soon. We'll be right back.
Are you a local business looking to offer your customers easy access to cash without having to travel miles? We're here to help. At Norman Legacy Investments, we provide free ATMs with free installation that provide a suitable investment for your business. Even better, we offer you some profit sharing and handle everything from start to finish. Just reach out to us today to schedule a free consultation.
We are back, y'all. The Gentleman Style Podcast Show. We have the incredible, the amazing Miss Diania Merriam. And she is just spilling the tea. She's spilling the FIRE movement tea on helping us get to a better place financially. And if you haven't heard of the FIRE movement, that is Financial Independence Retire Early Movement. And Miss Diana, along with some other top known aficionados, they are leading the charge in this movement. That's why I had to get her on the show. She is dynamic. If you missed it, if you missed what she just dropped, scroll back and tune in to what she's saying. So we're going to spill some more tea with the incredible Miss Miriam. Miss Miriam, this is a unique concept. What is FU money and why do we all need it?
Yeah. So FU money, or peace out money for the polite among us. So that's essentially like a step on the path to financial independence. So if you look at the numbers, you're said to be financially independent when you have 25 times your yearly expenses as your nest egg, right? That the math works out that you're able to draw down 4% every year. It's based on something called the Trinity study. That's what a lot of traditional retirement is modeled after. You're able to draw down 4% every year from your nest egg, and that money will last you forever, right? That's the idea of what we're all trying to accumulate for financial independence, right? So to get to 25 times your yearly expenses, that could take a while. For a lot of people, it takes 10 to 20 years, depending on how aggressive your savings rate is. So FU money is like a stop along the way. So I like to define it as 1 or 2 years of living expenses liquid. and easily accessible. And so what that allows you to do is you still need to work, right? Financial independence allows you to retire early if you wanted to. It creates that option for you. FU money says you still need to work, but you don't have to work somewhere that's less than optimal, right? You can leverage this financial freedom that you have to take some time off, to move into a career transition, to pursue self-employment, to just take time off and find another job. I think a lot of us will stay with a job that we don't like for a long period of time because we feel stuck, right? We got bills to pay. When you have some financial bandwidth, I think not enough people on the path to financial independence will give themselves permission to leverage that. I think they look at that getting to that 25 times your yearly expenses. That's the goal. And they will just put their heads down and be completely miserable until they reach it. I'm advocating for, why don't you leverage some of this financial freedom that you already built? The reward of pursuing financial independence is not reserved to when you reach that finish line. There are options that open up along the way. And I don't think that gets enough attention.
It doesn't. It definitely doesn't. And I think one of the things that I didn't touch on in your bio, you were able, and I think and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but my assumption is because you built up that nest egg, you built up yourself to a financial place where you were stable to move and come and go as you please, you were actually able to negotiate a virtual a virtual position for yourself. You were actually able to go to your employer and say, listen, I know the value I bring to this company. I want to be virtual. I want to work from home. I want to make my own schedule. Is that true? Is that a true assumption?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that was in 2017 that I did that. And so I wasn't as far along on my journey as I am now. But what I did was I recognized the power of leverage. I was a salesperson. I was like crushing it. I had doubled my numbers that year. They were giving me really good raises up to that point. And I had to ask myself, what is better than more money right now? Right. And it was more time and freedom. That to me was better than more money. So I said to them, rather than giving me another raise, I was living in New York City. I said, let me just try something different. I wanted to move to the Midwest. I moved to Cincinnati, which a lot of people think is crazy. Why would you move from New York City to Cincinnati? But I absolutely love it here. I think that Cincinnati has everything you'd want out of a big city with none of the downsides. And the cost of living is just so much lower. So I wanted to give it a try. And I think that having my kind of financial safety net gave me the courage to ask for that. I don't know that I would have asked for that if they would have said no, or they would have saw me as like, hey, you're someone that has their foot out the door. So now I'm at risk of losing my employment. Like, it's a risk to ask for those kind of things. So I think the money gave me the courage to do it, but also recognizing the leverage that I had, that I was a really good employee, that I was very loyal to the company, that I had proven myself. If I would have asked for that in like the first year of working there, they would have said no, right? I had to prove that I was a valuable part of the team and that I really wanted to be there, but I just wanted to do it in a different way.
Nuggets, jewels all over this. This is being sprinkled all over. Miss Shanika Tremaine, she's a sponsor of the show. She's a big time supporter of the show. She has a very powerful statement, and it kind of leads me to my next question: is what are the different flavors of the FIRE movement? Right, so there's different flavors to this. There's the extreme savers, and I'm gonna just let you dive in on that. But
sure.
What are the flavors of the FIRE movement?
Yeah. Well, I'll say that first of all, personal finance is really personal, right? Like, you have to approach it the way that makes the most sense to you, and make sure that you enjoy the journey to financial freedom. When I first discovered Mr. Money Mustache, I wanted to be like the female version of Mr. Money Mustache, right? He rides a bike everywhere. He lives very, very minimally. Like, his costs are so low. I think he spends like $25,000 a year are his expenses. And so, he like builds and fixes everything on his own. He's very DIY. And so that's great for him. And I experimented with a lot of those things, and I had to find like the path that was right for me. So I think the emergence of these different flavors of FIRE are really just people trying to figure out like what level of spending and saving make the most sense for their unique circumstances, preferences, and skill sets. So if you think about like traditional FIRE, I would say most of the people that fall within that identifier would be people that are pursuing usually $1 million nest egg. When you have $1 million nest egg, you can draw down 40 grand a year. 40 grand a year when you don't have any debt and like your expenses are relatively low is a great amount to live on. Then there's something called lean FIRE. These people are spending like 20 grand a year, their expenses. So they need to save half as much, right? Those are like the super, super frugal, like they're the van life, the like, kind of really, really minimal costs. And then you have people pursuing fat FIRE. That's like 100 grand a year in expenses. These people are not interested in being frugal at all. And so they're looking at, 2.5 million as their nest egg and above, right? So the frugality side of things does not interest them at all. And then there are people that are kind of in the in-between. There's something called coast FI, which is a level of reaching full FI that I've reached, which essentially means that you have saved enough in your retirement vehicles. So your 401k, your IRAs, your HSA, you have saved enough in there that it is going to grow through the power of compound interest to what you need at traditional retirement. And so you no longer really have to save for traditional retirement. I was socking away like $29,000 a year into my 401k, my IRA, and my HSA. And I reached a level of savings where, I'm 34 now. At 65, it's going to grow to what I need in traditional retirement. So I can kind of like slow down and like not have to like save as much if I wanted to, if I wasn't so concerned about early retirement. There's also something called barista FIRE, where people are drawing a portion of what they need each year from their nest egg, but then they're supplementing it with like working at Starbucks, right? Where they get the health insurance and they get some income, but they're still drawing down to their from their nest egg. So that all being said, there are like endless ways to approach FIRE, to approach your finances. I think the only thing that we all agree on is the math behind financial independence and early retirement. It's reaching that level of 25 times your yearly expenses. And the idea that you need to increase your income, reduce your expenses, and invest the gap. That's what you really need to focus on to be able to reach any kind of level of financial freedom.
This is gold. And so I want you all to see the big level of thinking that she has, right? And I don't want this point to be missed. She brought up some great examples, and not examples because people are actually doing this, great scenarios of what people are doing in the different flavors of the FIRE movement. But notice what she shared. Notice what she said. She moved to accommodate herself, right? So this takes a lot, right? There's the flavors that are out there, but this takes a lot of internal work, right? This takes a lot of looking on the inside to figure out what is that number, right? What is it do I want to live off of? What can I live off comfortably, and what gives me joy? I've seen people in the FIRE movement, and I can't figure out which category they would fall in, which flavor they would fall in, but I've seen people who took a school bus and they converted the school bus to a mobile home, and they live comfortably traveling the world in this school bus. There are people who buy a boat and they sell their house and they live on the ocean, or they live in a mobile home and they live in RV parks. And there are so many people. The tiny house movement, that was really, I was super excited, and I hate that it kind of like fell off. But Amazon, you could actually buy a tiny house on Amazon, have it ordered and everything. That I'm so excited for that, because it reduces the expense. And what do you actually need? Do I need the picket fence, right? With the 2.5 kids? Do I need the dog? Do I need all these different things? Or can I live comfortably with what I have? Many people, as they reach older age, they they downsize, right? They do it all the time. They got the big house
Yeah.
for the kids and the land, and it's like the kids are now gone, the dog's dead, and I don't need all these things anymore. And then they
Right.
reduce.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really helped me reduce my expenses, which by the way, when you first get into this, you really want to look at what they call the big three when it comes to your expenses. It's your travel. So what you're driving, right? Travel expenses are usually in the top three, your housing and your food. Those are like the top three categories where you usually can make like the biggest cuts that are going to have the biggest effect on your expenses. A lot of people talk about, like if you don't buy Starbucks every day, that's not going to make a huge difference in reducing your expenses. But I think that mentality of questioning every single expense is really what people are getting at when they're talking about not going to Starbucks every day. And really the way that I got here was like tracking every single expense. I write down every dollar that I spend, and that keeps me intimately aware of how much money I'm spending. And I'm constantly questioning, am I getting the value out of spending this money that justifies the expense? So like, for example, I started cooking every meal that I eat. A lot of people think that's like a hardship. Hello, that's like a first world problem. The fact that we have access to food, like we're incredibly fortunate, right? And so it's not a hardship for me to cook every meal that I eat. I actually feel like it's superior than, a lot of times me going out and buying food. I got just really good in the kitchen, right? And so now every time I order out, I'm spending that money and I'm realizing I'm not getting the value from it. That like I could cook something better than this. I know that sounds arrogant, but I just got myself to that place in the kitchen. Yeah, where I actually really enjoy cooking, and I'm saving money, and it's actually a superior option for me. So I think a lot of it was like testing these assumptions on how do I reduce my expenses, and also recognizing this idea of hedonic adaptation. So that means that after a certain period of time, that thing that you bought that gave you that dopamine shot, you will go back to a normal level of happiness over time. So like, for example, I don't really care that much about having a nice car. I bought a $6,000 used 2010 Mazda 3 in cash. I have no car payment. The car is great. It gets me to where I need to go. I don't need a Tesla, right? Like I don't value that. Other people do. So like good for them. They just got to like figure it out financially. What are the other areas that I spend money on that maybe they wouldn't spend money on? But all that being said, I recognize if I were to buy a really fancy, shiny new car, after about 3 months, I'm going to go back to the very base level of happiness as I would if I got the 2010 Mazda 3. So in my mind, I recognize that material possessions are not going to lead to my happiness. And this was a lot of soul searching to get here. But I realized that autonomy over my time, creativity, and who I spend that time with, those three things are what consistently leads me to my happiness. And they don't cost a lot of money. So by saving and investing most of my money, I'm buying myself autonomy over my time.
Oh my gosh. This is powerful, powerful stuff, y'all. We have one more quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Good day, podcast listeners. This is your boy, Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I wanted to let you guys know that we will be rolling out a new feature and adding a join sponsor button next to the subscriber button here at the bottom of your screen. Once you click the button, it will display 3 membership levels. Gentleman Gentry, which is our entry level, Duke Duchess, which is our season level, and the Emperor and Empress, which is our most sophisticated level, which you will receive unique perks and benefits at each differing level and gain access to our community tab. We will also be sharing polls, upcoming events, and interviews, as well as receive feedback from our sponsors directly. Your support helps me find new and exciting guests to bring to the stage live. Well, in order to get the higher end speakers, it requires, you guessed it, money. So thank you for tuning in to my channel. And if becoming a sponsor sounds good to you, Then select the join button below and choose your desired sponsor level. Let's continue to grow and serve the future of generations of men and women to come. Love you guys. Bye. Hey y'all, we are back to the Gentleman Style Podcast Show, and we have the incredible, the amazing Miss Diania Merriam, and she is spilling the fire movement tea. If you missed it, she just broke down the different flavors of the fire movement, and that was very powerful, and it is absolutely a personal decision. This is powerful. Miss Diania, you do something unique, and I have to spread the word about this. You have a actual conference that you put together. Tell us about that conference. What inspired that conference, and what should people expect when they attend?
Sure. So the EconoMe Conference, and that's economy with an M-E, not an M-Y, fun play on words there. But the EconoMe Conference really originated from me asking myself, what would I want to do with my time if I no longer needed to trade it for money, right? If I no longer needed to work for money, what would I do with my time? And I decided that I wanted to create like a party about money. That's really what I came up with. The thing is that, I'm not financially independent yet. I'm about 6 years away. And I just got so excited about the idea that I couldn't wait. And so I decided to do it now. And I'm actually really glad that I did, because for a number of reasons, it's really good that I didn't wait until I was financially independent. Really where this came from is I love to go to events. There's this event that I love to go to every year called the World Domination Summit, which sounds crazy, like it's produced by Pinky and the Brain or something like that, right? But it's actually a collection of people living really unconventional lives and sharing, like through main stage speeches, how they're going about that. And Mr. Muddy Mustache, who introduced me to the fire movement, actually spoke at that event one year, which is how I found out about it. So I started going to this event, and every time I would leave, I would feel like my life is so full of possibility. And I wanted other people to feel that way about their money. And so that's really how the EconoMe Conference came to be. And essentially, I like to describe it as a party about money. Someone actually who came last year described it that way too. And we have a collection of main stage speakers that are talking about this topic of financial independence from a number of different angles. So like, for example, if you go to our YouTube channel, just look for EconoMe Conference on YouTube, you'll see speeches like, how do you handle student loan debt? There's another great one, actually the most popular speech from last year was from a woman named Jackie Cummings Koski, she was a single Black woman who found the movement at 38 and she retired at 49, never making more than six figures. Like, she was under six figures and she was able to figure this out. And so she shares her real numbers behind how she was able to accomplish this. And I love it because it really, when you can see real stories of how people are able to do this, it shows how accessible it really is. Most of the speakers were able to do it with kids. Another speaker named Jillian Johnsrud, she reached financial independence in her early 30s with like 6 kids, right? People are figuring this out. And that's why I love kind of bringing these stories to the main stage so that you can see the inspirational side of things, but also the more tactical side of things. So for example, we've got a couple different speakers this year. One woman named Angel Salucci is going to talk about what do you do when you get a big medical bill? Because a lot of us talk about the cost of health insurance, but even when you have health insurance, you can get that big medical bill. And actually, medical billing fraud is an $80 billion problem that we're not talking about. So she helps people become better consumers of healthcare, and she's going to talk about that on the main stage. We also have another speaker, Stephanie Zito, who's going to talk about credit card hacking, like travel hacking, using credit card points to be able to travel in a way that you didn't imagine was possible. So there's a lot of tactical and inspirational speeches. And then we also have breakout sessions where not only are you learning from the people on the main stage, but we have breakout sessions where you can learn from each other. I would say that the people who come to this event are like money nerds, right? They love talking about this stuff. And there's a lot of knowledge in the room. It's not just people on the main stage. And so those breakout sessions enable you to tap into the knowledge in the room as well. So yeah, we've got main stage speakers, we've got breakout sessions, we've got a incredible after party. And then we've got a lot of other activities to really try to help solidify community. Money is such a taboo topic. To be able to surround yourself with people that are doing incredible things with their finances, it allows you to talk about it, to get input from other people, to see how they're handling it. This is not a topic that a lot of people are comfortable talking about with their family and friends. So to be able to have that safe environment is really what that safe, fun environment is really what I'm looking to create. So the event is happening this year. It's our second event, November 13th and 14th at the University of Cincinnati. And you can get tickets. They're available now. If you just go to EconoMeConference.com, there's plenty of prompts to lead you to our ticketing page on Eventbrite.
Ooh-wee. Get your tickets, y'all, on the website. Gonna be on the show notes. Also gonna be in the comment box below. We're gonna put this up on the big screen so you guys can write it down, and I'm also gonna throw it in the comments as well. The EconoMe Conference, dynamic speakers. So at those breakout sessions, I get to not only talk amongst the crowd. Will I also get to talk with the speakers?
Yeah, I mean, this event, like last year we had about 250 people. Our capacity is 700 people. We're at about like 30% capacity right now. So we could get upwards to 700 people, but it really is like a more intimate event. You will be able to interact with the speakers. Absolutely.
Get in, y'all. Get on that website. That is pinned in the comments, and it's also on the big screen. Get your tickets ASAP.
And we got a discount code. We do have a discount code that we just created. So you got to remind me, it's Gent Style, all caps, one word. So it's just Gent Style, and that's going to get you 20% off full price tickets, but you have to purchase them before June 30th. So that code is going to expire by June 30th. So giddy up.
Get in there, y'all. This is a movement. This is big. Thank you for that. Discount code Gent Style for my audience and my viewing audience, and this is cheating because my viewers are getting this before my audio audience. So sorry guys if you're just hearing this audio, but get on those tickets. This is the fire move. So get hot, get on fire. So Miss Merriam, that's my little plug. What advice would you give out there to the man or the woman out there that just can't seem to find a good place to start? Where should they start? Should they start with a financial advisor or should they start with kind of putting that budget together to figure out what is their incoming and what are their outgoing expenses? Yeah. Where should someone start first?
I think the first step, even if you don't care about fire and you just want to like get out of debt or clean up your finances, to me, the first step is awareness. You need to know where your money is going. And the best way to do that is to track your spending. I downloaded like a free no-name tracker app on my phone. Every single time I spend something, I log it in the app and it's showing me where my money is going. Until you have an awareness of where your money is going, it's going to be really hard to budget. And I see this all the time where people will come up with a budget and they'll say, okay, I'm going to spend $200 a month on groceries, but they weren't really aware that last month they actually spent $400 on groceries. How realistic is it to cut that line item in half? That's going to be really challenging, right? And so I think people struggle with budgeting because they don't start off with a lot of awareness. I think you should be tracking your expenses for at least 3 months to get yourself like really knowledgeable about where your money's going. And then you can start to develop a budget that makes sense. And you got to engage with that budget at least once a month to see how you're tracking against it, what's working, what's not working, what adjustments can you make. That to me is kind of the magic of starting off, is building that awareness, building that budget, and seeing where that can lead you over time.
There you have it. She said it, y'all. The legend herself, the TED Talk of the FIRE movement, and I'll claim it here, the Mrs. Money Mustache of the 21st century. So there you go. I'll claim that. Mr. Money Mustache, don't get mad at me. But there you have it, y'all. Start with the budgeting. Start at knowing what is going on with your money. Miss Merriam, how can people connect with you? How can my audience grow with you? How can we become a part of this movement? The train has already left the station. How can we get on board?
Yeah. So I think the best way to connect with me is just sign up for my newsletter. So if you go to EconoMe Conference, the link is here to bring you directly to where that newsletter sign up is. Even if you just go to the website, you'll see on the top, there's a link for newsletter. That's the way that I communicate best with people. I usually send out a bi-weekly newsletter, like announcing the speakers and kind of some background info, sharing more information on, things that I'm finding, opportunities to, engage with the EconoMe Conference and kind of what's going on with the event. So yeah, that's the best way to connect with me. And then you can also watch all the videos from last year. They're on the EconoMe Conference YouTube channel. You can really get a better understanding of what the event's all about.
There it is. We had one more question from our audience, Ms. Tremaine, our show sponsor. She asked, what expenditure tracking app do you suggest?
The one that I use, it's a free one. It's kind of a no name. Let's see. Mine just says spending tracker. So if you look that up in like the app store, it's a free version. Another one that I think is better for not just tracking, but also budgeting. So kind of getting both of those things in one. There's an app called You Need a Budget. It's like the best kind of tech option for I think for budgeting. It's called You Need a Budget.
There you go. This has been a dynamic episode. This has been powerful. This has been amazing. Miss Merriam, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to give back in this way. You are helping not just my audience, but me get to a better place financially. So this was necessary.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure having you. I want to say this to you publicly. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up. We need you. The world needs what you do. And so if there's ever those moments where you're feeling low, you're feeling down, please don't ever quit, because we need what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you, my audience, for tuning into the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. Don't forget to check out that website, EconoMe Conference, I'm tongue-tied right now, .com, and sign up on that newsletter to stay up to date with what Miss Merriam is doing. And that next conference date, EconoMe Conference, November 13th to the 14th. Discount code GentStyle, 20% off. Use it by June 30th. Get hot. I hope this message has served you all. I hope this helps you all get to a better place. And I hope, like always, that this takes your business, takes you personally to the next level. Like I end every show, take care of your families, take care of your friends, and take care of business. This is Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast, your host, favorite gentleman, and Miss Diania Merriam of the FIRE movement, signing off. Love you guys. Bye.